Yay, you're here on day two. Welcome. How did it go when you did your why and your vitality wheel? I'd love to know. Um, but congratulations on getting started. Taking control starts with being clear about where you want to go and where you are right now. So if you know those two things, then you can plot a journey. So today we are going to be moving on to the P of capable, which is priorities. So let's get started. So setting priorities is what are you going to do first? So you know where you're going, but where you're going, there are 100 ways you could get there, but setting a priority so that you get started. And from my point of view, it's choosing things that build a firm foundation. So when we're talking about healthy aging, there are so many things that you could do, but some things are more impactful than others. So you want to build a firm foundation of all the really impactful things, and then you can add to it as you go. So today we are starting that journey, our setting of our priorities. Um, I like to think I like dancing, and I'm not a trained dancer or anything, but I like to dance. But and sometimes I learn dances online. But if you know you're ever learning a dance, you start with the feet and you start, and it might be a bit slow. And then you learn the feet and you speed it up a little bit. And you might put the hips in, and then you might add the arms. But you don't start with the attitude or the flourishes of the fingers. That wouldn't make sense. You start with the basics because you build a firm foundation. And so that's what we're going to do with the ACT formula. So let's get right into it. So A is for attitude, and attitude is about mindset, really. And I just want to remind you of the studies that we have available to us that just tell us about the power of the mind. The Becker Levy study from Stanford looked at women in their, well, women and men actually in their 50s, and looked at their perception of getting older. And it found that those with a positive perception lived 7.5 years longer. 7.5 years is a massive increase in longevity from just one intervention, from just doing one thing. Very few other things that you do will give you, one single things will give you 7.5 years. And you don't have to pay for it. You just have to have a mindset shift. And we'll be talking a lot about that in this today. So you can add years to your life by changing how you think. But not only that, we can increase our health by the way that we think. So another researcher who's very famous in this field, Professor Ellen Langer from Harvard, she did the counterclockwise study. You may have heard of it. And I just want to mention two of her studies that I think are pertinent to what I'm saying today. One of them was called the chambermaid study. So I think today chambermaids would be called household staff in hotels, but they've got a very physical job. They're cleaning and vacuuming and all sorts of things that actually is a lot of physical activity. And they would notice, well, why these women who have all this physical activity don't seem very healthy. And so that was sort of why is that? And they sort of looked at this group from 7 hotels in New York, and 2/3 of them didn't really think they did any exercise, and a third of them thought they did nothing at all. So these are people who just don't perceive themselves as healthy. And what they did is they split the whole group into 2 separate groups. In one group, they just gave them some general information. And the other group, they sat down with them. So the general information was on healthy movement guidelines. So it might have been 150 hours a week or something of activity is healthy. The other group, they sat down and they went through their day. Okay, so this vacuuming here, that's that amount of exercise, and that walking up the stairs is that amount, and that dusting is that amount of exercise that, so they went through and categorized all of the work they did and identified that, oh, actually, you're meeting these guidelines. And then they followed them for just 4 weeks. And without doing anything else except changing how they thought about their work. So instead of just thinking I'm working, thinking, well, I am working, but I'm actually exercising as well. So thinking they were exercising now. That group, they had weight loss, they had lower blood pressure, they had lower waist hip ratio, and they generally felt healthier, and they thought they were healthier. So our perception is key in so many things. And Alan Langer did another study where people were exposed to negative words about aging, negative concepts, phrases, words. And after just 15 minutes of listening to negativity, people started walking slower, started showing signs of age. So the studies tell us that the mind is very, very powerful. And I would just like to demonstrate this for you right now. I'd invite you to close your eyes and imagine that you have a lemon in your hand. You've just picked it off the tree. Smell the beautiful sweetness of the lemon, the flowers on the lemon tree. Feel the lemon in your hand, the smoothness, but slightly textured rind, slightly greasy. You can open your eyes, actually look at the yellow of it. Imagine the yellow of it, smell it. If you want to close your eyes again, you can imagine the yellow in your head. Smell it, smell the lemon. And now put it on the bench and cut it in half. And as you cut it, you can hear the knife as it goes through. And it's a very juicy lemon, so sort of little bits of juice spit out. And then cut it in a wedge. And then take that wedge and put it in your mouth and suck on it, really suck on that lemon. You can smell it, you can taste it, you can feel it in your mouth. And now open your eyes. And tell me this. Have you produced a lot of saliva in your mouth? I suspect you have. Because the mind doesn't actually care if it's real or imagined. You didn't have a lemon. Well, you didn't have a physical lemon, but you have created the same reaction in your body as if you did. That's salivation. I mean, in some ways, you would say, when you did have a lemon, it was in your mind. But the mind is so, so powerful. So we know it from those studies, and we know it just from that tiny little example, which I could give you many, many more. The mind is very, very powerful. It doesn't care about real or not. The imagination is enough to create changes in our biology. So, it's not a big stretch to think, oh, well, if we can increase salivation, we could increase the health of our cells. We could change the way the cells are working to be more efficient, more optimal. And I want to introduce you to some rules of the mind. Now, there are I could probably, find a list of 10 or so, but I've just got 3. I want to keep it nice and simple. And I was first introduced to the rules of the mind by Marissa Peer, who actually first was the person who introduced me to that lemon exercise. And she's a hypnotherapist, and I've trained in her modality, rapid transformational therapy. So the rules of the mind that I want to just talk to you about right now are: the mind responds to the pictures in your head and the words you say to yourself. So remember, we just made a picture in our head of a lemon, eating the lemon, and the mind responded. The mind responds to the words we say to ourselves, which will become important. The importance of that will become obvious soon. The mind does what it thinks you want. Well, my mind doesn't. But are you clear with what you want? We're so good at giving mixed messages. oh, I want to save money, but then, you know, like for me, like buying every discounted course or buying stuff on sale because it's a bargain. Saying, oh, I want to eat healthily, but then filling your pantry with sweet things and biscuits and cakes and basically non-nutritious food. You see, there's a mismatch. So the mind does what it thinks you want, but it's not as simple as just, oh, I said this. Everything's got to be aligned. Everything's got to be aligned. Your thoughts, your words, your actions. So we've got to be clear, but the mind does what it thinks you want. So we can use that to create what we want. And the mind loves the familiar. So these rules, we're going to see how we use them to create an attitude, a mindset of cellular rejuvenation, of creating healthier, more efficiently working cells. Because why? Because that is going to reset our biological age. What is that? Why is that important? Well, that's important because that's going to give us more time. So if our biological age, so I'm 67, if my biological age is 47, that's 20 years. I don't want to go back. It's not about like going back, but I have gained 20 years. So I've got another 20 years at the, you know, ahead of me to do the things I love with the people I love. So if I can use the rules of the mind to help me get there, to help me have cellular rejuvenation, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So it's going to talk a little bit more about that. I hope this is sort of making sense. So we have to make what we want important. I think they say there are 6 to 10 million bits of information per second. So, you know, a bit is a bit of data, they call it, you know, like on the computer, they have bits and bytes and whatever, gigabytes. And so 6 to 10 million bits of information per second is coming towards us. We register 50 bits per second. So we're missing 99.9995% of the information that's coming to us. So we've got to actually make it clear to our mind what is important. Otherwise, we'll miss what's important. There was a study, I think it's called the Vanishing Gorilla Study, and they had 2 groups of people, and they were watching a basketball game, I think. And and there were 2 teams in different colors. And I think that one group was just said, you know, measure the number of bounces. And the other one was like measure the number of bounces and tosses. It was a little bit more involved. It might have been bounces, passes, and it might have been, you know, from this team as opposed to that team. So it was a little bit more involved. They needed a little bit more attention to be able to figure out what was happening. And so they were watching this game, and halfway through the game, a person in a big gorilla suit walked across the field. And at the end, only 50% of the people had seen that gorilla, had noticed that gorilla. And the group that was more, had been told to do the sort of more intense task, you know, they had to do, it was a bit more complicated what they had to do. They hadn't noticed it because their attention had all been focused on something else. And so when we're trying to create, because we are trying to create, remember we set up that yesterday, we set a vision for where we want to go. We want to create that reality for ourselves. That's what we're creating. Then there are rules of the mind to get there. And sometimes you might have heard this called manifestation. Manifestation is merely something coming into being that wasn't. So you had a thought and then it was created. And it isn't woo-woo. There's a whole science around this, creating this. So we have these brain networks. I don't want to get too sciencey, but we have some brain networks that are really key in manifestation. We've got the default mode network, and that's the network, it's our daydreaming network. And this is when we can get to visualize. So we visualize. Remember yesterday, we really visualized. We put all of our 5 senses and we tried to make it really, really visualize what we want. We do a daydreaming. And the default mode network doesn't care about time or space. It doesn't, you can go backwards and forwards, and it isn't bothered. So it doesn't matter if it's in the future. You can imagine it, what your future is, and you can imagine it as if it's in the present. And then we have our salience network. And the salience network is like, what's important? Okay, we're going to prioritize what's important. So it's really important that we engage that. And then we have our attention network, which is, okay, now I know what's important. I know what to pay attention to. I know what to focus on. And then we've got our central executive network, which is basically in making the decisions and planning and programming and taking action. So all of those things are important. And I don't know if you probably heard this analogy before. Maybe it's happened to you. Somebody comes and tells you about a car, or they bring their car. You've never seen this car before, this new model of car. You've never even seen one before. It's like, oh, I've never even heard of that. And then you have a look in it, and you have a look around, and you really like it. And part of your daydreaming, your default mode network's like, wow, this is really cool. I love this. And you're taking in all the information. And it might be real that you're taking it in, but you're like, wow, this is really real. And so suddenly that process, you're still like, I really love this car. So all of that positive emotion and thinking about it is now sort of triggered something in your brain that this is important. And then what happens is you've never heard of this car before. And then for the next couple of weeks, you just see that car here, there, everywhere. Suddenly there are all of these cars you've never even heard of, and they're everywhere. They haven't suddenly just appeared. But what's happened is you've created an importance for it because now it's in your consciousness. And now your consciousness is, okay, this is important. Let me pay attention. And now I'm paying attention. I see it all over the show. And then if I want to, it's like, okay, I really love this. I'm really noticing it. And now I can decide whether it's feasible for me to buy. But you can sort of see that there are processes. And we can create cellular health for a future of being healthy and active and fit by engaging our brain. That's the first place we start. We don't start with all the fancy things. We start with our mind. So just thinking about manifestation from a science point of view, we start with an emotion, and an elevated emotion like gratitude or joy. And we think about it as if it's already happened. Remember, I said the default mode network, it doesn't really care about time or space. You can just visualize. And the thing about, you start with it, you can visualize, use all your senses to really get a good idea of what it is that you want, and you link that with a positive emotion. And to be honest, when we do our breathing, we tap into gratitude, because gratitude is a very easy way to lift your emotion to an elevated state, but joy or happiness. And what that's doing is when you have got an elevated emotion, so you get your visualization, your elevated emotion, that's saying to your brain, your mind, your consciousness, this is important. This is important. Look how happy they are. Look how happy they are. Look how much joy this gives them. So now I'm going to repeat it consistently. So I keep repeating it. So now the brain's like, this is really important. I can see it, know what it is. They really love it. They're all on it. They've got all this positive emotion, and they keep telling me about it. It's really important. So now I'm going to pay attention, and I'm going to see opportunities. I'm going to see doors might open that might get me to a place. I'm going to be able to do the things that I need to do. I'm going to allow my cells to be more cells to be more useful. And so that's why we're going to be talking about creating affirmations, beliefs that are in line with your vision. Remember, your vision yesterday is your why. That's your vision. Why do you want what you want? And your vision had a frequency. You know, we said, what does it feel like for mindless freedom? It's got a frequency. So we have an intention, we have a vision, you know, the five senses is giving more, a little bit of the vision, you know, a vision for the future. We've got a frequency involved. We're going to act now with intention, and we're going to use our visualizations to program our brain to get there. And then the only, you know, the thing I really want to mention as well about intention, so intention is what we want, and elevated emotion, is there have been some studies on elevated emotion and intention together, and literally you can change the shape of DNA. So remember, we reprogram ourselves. You can change the shape of DNA by combining those two. There have been some studies where they've looked, and they know if the shape of DNA has been changed because they shine a certain sort of light through it, and they can see different patterns. And so they've had people who've just sat there and said, unwind DNA, unwind DNA. We've set the intention to unwind the DNA. And then they've had people who've just sent love to the DNA. And then they've had people who've done both together. And when you combine the intention with an elevated emotion like gratitude, love, joy, the DNA can unwind, and they can wind it back the other way. So it wasn't just a fluke of, you know, as a study. So those two things are very important. So that's why you'll notice when I'm doing any breathing and we're setting intention, we always link it with gratitude, a feeling of gratitude. It's easy to tap into gratitude. That immediately raises our level of emotion and allows us to create intentions that are very powerful. So hopefully this is all going fine. It's not too So now we're going to get to the practical point of view. What can you do to reset your mind, to put your mindset in the right frame of mind for cellular rejuvenation? Well, the first thing is you've got to watch your thoughts and reframe them. So remember, we said, you know, negative thoughts can create the signs of aging. So we don't want anything like that coming. So we have to watch our own thoughts. So if I went, oh, I can't do that, I'm too old, that's a very limiting thought. So, okay, it's not like I might not say it. I mean, I probably don't now because I've got practice at it. But even if I did accidentally say it, I'll immediately go, whoa, 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 and stop myself. So what could I do? I've said I can't. So I could just say, oh, I can't do that yet. So let's, for example, climb Mount Everest. You know, it wouldn't be unreasonable for me to, oh, I just can't do that now. Well, actually, if I really wanted to climb Mount Everest, there's nothing to stop me as a 67-year-old woman can't climb the Mount Everest when you have done it. So it would be, oh, I can't climb it yet because obviously I'm not fit enough, I'm not trained. But actually, thinking about it, I don't want to climb Mount Everest. So I choose not to. It's my choice not to. So either I can't yet, or I've made a choice not to do this. I prefer to do something else. Because we're allowed to choose. We don't just have to do anything. So just be aware if you're saying I can't, say actually, is it because I can't yet, or is it because I choose not to? But just don't let little words like that fall in to your everyday vocabulary. Just reframe. Another reframe is, you know, just watch things like people say, oh, I'm having a senior moment when they're forgetful. Like 3-year-olds are forgetful, 23-year-olds are forgetful. Don't label forgetfulness as part of your aging process, because you're just linking them as if, oh, if you're linking them together, you're making it inevitable. Don't make it inevitable. Oh, I forgot. Sorry, it'll come to me. That's what I go, oh, I've just forgotten right now, but it will come to me. And so more often than not, that it does come to me. I stop thinking about it and suddenly I say, oh, I know what I was thinking about. It was this. Because I'm training my mind in a different way. I'm not accepting, oh, I'm older, I've forgotten something. No, it doesn't really matter. Because otherwise, like, oh, well, you forget things. It's just because you're older. There's no importance then to actually try and remember. So just watch your thoughts and reframe. And you might even want to write them down every time you have a thought that's limiting or negative regarding aging, is to write it down and then write it on one side of the paper and then immediately reframe it on the other side. And then just sort of see over a period of time, a week, what are the things you've been saying and how are you reframing them? So that's the first thing. The second thing is to be aware of ants. Ants are automatic negative thoughts. So you're like, oh, you get up and you think, I'm going to go for a run, and you're like, oh, I don't know, I'm feeling a bit tired, I won't go today. Or oh, there are little excuses that come up. And like limiting beliefs are really quite big. They're right there in front of you. It's like automatic negative thoughts are sort of coming, and they'll sometimes sound a bit reasonable. Oh, like, you shouldn't really do that because, it's like, oh no, you better not do that, or that seems a bit dangerous, or don't do that. The little wanting to be helpful, but not really helpful, but really little voices in your head. And these come from, the default mode network. That's sort of like just little things that you're not, just come into your mind. You can just train them to be positive, but you just have to be aware that everybody has them, even the most, like successful people who, like seemingly just unstoppable, will probably have little thoughts that come into their minds like, oh, you better not do this, or you don't really need to do this now, or this isn't really necessary for you, the little automatic negative thoughts. And you can't stop them coming. You could name them. You could name them like, oh, hi. And I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say a name. But you could choose a name and you could call them that name. I always think of it like a helpful intern, they think they're being helpful. You're sort of doing some business and you've got an intern and they think they're being helpful, but they really don't have the big picture. And it's like, actually, no, I've got this. Or, someone in the back seat trying to tell you how to drive. That actually, no, I'm driving. Thanks for sharing, but just, I've got this. And I think the thing is, you just have to be aware of it. Be aware when you change something, you're going to get these little voices in your head. Know what they are. Say, oh, I see you. I know what you are. I'm choosing to say, thank you very much for sharing, but I've got this. And so I like to think of dancing with ants, because they're going to come. You're just going to be like, yep, see you, got you. And then they'll come again. You're like, yep, I heard you. It's all good. So hopefully that makes sense. So now that we are aware of those, we need to create beliefs in our mind that are empowering. And a belief is really just a thought that you have over and over and over that becomes a habit. And, or something that you say over and over. If you say something over and over and over, it becomes a habit, as a thought, and you think it over and over, and it becomes a belief. So we can create new beliefs. So maybe you don't have positive beliefs about aging. So remember your intention the other day, yesterday, mine's I am freedom. So, a belief for me could be, I am aging with ease, grace, and flow, and I am youthful and vibrant at every age. To just choose something. Making healthy choices is easy for me. I like this one. Every day and every way I get better, better, and better. So we just create some beliefs, but just choose something that might not be something that you believe right now, but you're going to start saying it over and over and over. So this is where you're going to make it familiar. Remember, the mind loves the familiar. So it might not be familiar, like making healthy choices is easy for me. Okay, so at the moment, that might not be your case, but you start saying it over and over and over. And you make sure it's something that's, so wherever you are, you sort of go up a step. You don't need to go way, way to the extreme. You just take a step. And then once that becomes a good belief, you can take another step. But we create new beliefs. And so one of the tasks today is to create some beliefs related to your vision, related to where you're going, related to that frequency that will allow you to get there. And we're going to make our beliefs, and they're going to be, remember that the default mode network doesn't care about present or not. We're going to make them in the present. I am, or whatever it is in the present. You know, I am in love with my age at every age. I am vibrant, fit and active at every age. I don't know, I've probably given you about at least 5 or 6 different examples over this period of time. Just choose 2 or 3 for yourself, either ones that I've talked about, or you could just make your own up. I don't even know if that's how you spell belief, but anyway. It's funny when you read it, it's something over and over on the screen. So basically, yeah, so you want to make some new beliefs, and then having made them, and actually remember that if you want to say, I'm so excited to make healthy choices every day, I've added in a positive emotion, and now I'm going to say that every day. It's going to go into my salience network as well. That's really important to her, making healthy choices. Look, she's really excited about it, and she keeps telling me about it. It's really important to her. I'm going to give her opportunities. And then to make it even better, I would know exactly what those healthy choices, the healthy choices is fine, but you know, for me, there are some choices that are easy to make, and there are some that are more challenging. So I actually might go, actually, my healthy choice is going to be X. Mine at the moment is no cakes, no cake January, no cakes. And it will change in time, but right now it's like, oh, I love the feeling I get when I turn down a cake. When someone offers me a cake and I turn it down. Could be one of my beliefs that I'm making, because I'm training my brain so that becomes, oh, every time I say, oh no, thanks very much, I'm good, I get a little positive boost, a little bit of dopamine boost, because I just did something that I had already said I got excited about. So we can turn things around if we get new beliefs. So your task is to find some new beliefs. And finally, our brain sometimes wants evidence. So get some evidence. So if you are wanting to be really vibrant and active and healthy when you're 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, get some belief. If, for example, you wanted to climb Mount Everest at the age of 70, go and look it up and find somebody who's done it, you know, and find somebody close who looks like you. Find some evidence, you know, maybe get a picture and put it, you know, somewhere that reminds you. And if you don't know where to get evidence, I have my Instagram channel. I have a highlight reel that's called Vitality. And I just, every time I see somebody who is like an inspiration, who's, you know, living a vibrant, vital life in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 100, then I put it in there. So if you just had nothing more to do, you couldn't do anything but go and look at my highlights reel and find what, you know, you'll be able to link to the person who's there and find out more about them. But you can find some evidence to support the fact that this is what you want. It's really helpful as well. Remember that, you know, when they were talking about all those negative words about aging, and it made people slow down because they were sort of like programmed in. We want to program something different. We want to program that the normal is vibrant, healthy, active 70-year-olds, vibrant, healthy, active 80-year-olds, vibrant, healthy, active 90-year-olds, vibrant, active, healthy 100-year-olds. We want to program that into our brain so that that is what that is how our whole body operates. Because remember when we did that experiment with the lemon and we created saliva. Well, our emotions and how we're feeling. So we think and feel, and those feelings create biochemistry. We have different biochemistry when we're feeling sad and down than when we're feeling joy and up. And that different biochemistry, so that's different chemicals in our blood, basically, create different environments for our cells to operate. And so what we want to do is we want to have a mindset that's geared up to create the biochemistry in our blood that creates an environment for our cells that is thriving, that keeps them healthy, that keeps them working efficiently. Because then, with healthy, efficiently working cells, we have a glow. We have a spring in our step. We are mentally sharp. We feel more vibrant. We feel more alive. And after all, isn't that what this is all about? So the first practical part, I like to give practical things for attitude. The first one was a mindset reset. The second one is just be really aware of so that's what we just talked about. So a mindset reset, where we're watching our thoughts and we're reframing, we're being aware of automatic negative thoughts, and we're dancing with them. We're just saying thanks very much. We're creating new beliefs and we're supporting with evidence. So the tasks today are going to be about finding 2 or 3 affirmations, I am statements, new beliefs that you can say, and finding some evidence of what supporting where you want to go. So the next thing is remembering, who do we surround ourselves with? Remember, we don't want to be surrounded by people who are speaking negatively. We don't, and we don't want to just be, people say things, oh, you look great for your age. It's a very ageist thing to say. Why do I look great for my age? Why can't I just look great? So it's also about, what are we doing when people use age things? Oh my gosh, she can't do that. She's 80. It's like, oh, actually, that's not correct. She can do anything she chooses to do. That's her business. So, just being an advocate yourself. So, in terms of who you surround yourself with, you can join groups. So, have a supportive network around you. So if you might not have people around you, just be in a group. I belong to a Pro-Age Alliance, and that's women over 50, and they're all doing amazing things. And yeah, it's a great environment for me to feel inspired to do more when you're watching other people do that. And it might be that you're welcome to join that group. If you want to join that, message me. But you might have a book club that you go to where everyone's really bright and breezy and positive about aging, or you might just join a group on social media who's very positive, or follow somebody. But make sure that you're surrounded by supportive people, and call out ageism. Call it out. Just sort of, when you notice it, call it out. Don't let it pass you by, because when you just let it pass you by, it sort of lets it be okay, and it's not okay. It's not okay. We are redefining what it is to be older. We're not allowing ageist stereotypes to come into our environment. No, we're not allowing that. And then look for positive role models. Just find some positive role models and be inspired. And then finally, what are your cells hearing? What are your cells hearing? our cells are listening all the time. And I like to, our cells have got doing all this amazing stuff. We've got 37 trillion cells, a billion reactions per cell per second. There's a lot going on to keep us healthy, to keep everything going. There's a whole lot of interaction between all of these different cellular mechanisms. So imagine the workers in a factory and you're the boss, the foreman or the boss, whatever, and you just go out and you speak to the group. When do you think your cells will work best for you, most efficiently, optimally? If you go out and you're like, oh, you're just useless, I'm so sick of this body, it's so, I hate my legs are just tired. Or, oh, I'm so grateful for all the work you're doing. I'm so grateful that you've got me here. I'm so grateful that you allow me to move. I'm so grateful that, I am able to do the things that I do. Just imagine that factory. Which one's going to have the more efficient work? The ones who are feeling gratitude and feeling like they're doing a good job and that they're appreciated, or the ones who are being berated all the time? How are you talking to yourself? Because your cells are listening. And we want cellular health. We want them to be healthy and efficient. And we are 70% water. And I don't know if you know the work of is a Japanese doctor, Dr. Emoto, I think his name is. Anyway, he did some studies on water, basically. And they had these jars of water, and that people spoke to the water different ways. So people might have gone and been loving towards some jars of water, and then people were harsh and critical of other jars of water. And then they did some electron microscopy on the water, I think, as it was crystallized. And the water where they had spoken beautifully and lovingly had these beautiful crystals. And the ones where they'd been harsh, the crystals were all jagged. And so imagine all of the water that's in our body, it's listening. And, it could be in beautiful shapes that's harmonious and fits in with other shapes, or it can be all jagged and out of place and not really fit in with everything, not harmonious, basically. Your cells are listening. It makes a difference how you talk to yourself. So watch how you talk to yourself. Consider saying thank you to your cells. I have on my website and my free resources, I have a quick, just 5-minute gratitude to yourselves. It's one that I wrote that I sent, and then I had somebody who speaks in a really lovely, relaxing voice has record it for me. So you're welcome to try that. But just say thank you. And be your best friend. Be your best friend. So we have done quite a lot today. We have done attitude. We've talked about how important it is with your mindset, how important it is to have a positive attitude, how important it is for creating what you want, to have the right mindset and to be aligned and to be sending the right messages. And then I've given you some very practical ways of, making sure that your mindset is fine. Do be aware of your thoughts, reframe them as necessary. Be aware of who you're surrounding yourself with and what you're saying to yourself. So I hope that has been helpful. I've said that we're going to do breath every day, and I've told you that the breath rewires the nervous system. It creates a state of cellular rejuvenation and it clears blocks. And so today yesterday we did a very short breath. Today we're going to do a 5-minute breath. So you can come back to this. You can use this at any time. This is a good thing to use when you just want to get into a calm state. But before I do it, I just want to remind you that I did mention that there are tasks. So if you write the tasks in the group, put #day2. And we want to create 3 to 5 new beliefs. So write them in the present. You know, I am in love with my life at every age. I am feeling youthful and active and fit and love my life at every age. You know, creating healthy habits is easy for me. You know, I love my life, or I don't might know what they're going to be. You need to create them. And then find some inspiration. Go and have a look and find some inspiration in people that you can think, oh, I wonder what that person would do. So, for example, just so you know, some of my inspiration, I have Ernestine Shepherd. She's in her 80s now. She started bodybuilding, I think, when she was in her late 50s. And then she sort of won titles, world titles. But she's like this amazingly fit, healthy 80, whatever she is, 80-plus-year-old woman. She's very inspiring. There's a woman called Joan McDonald who has an Instagram account, Train with Joan, and she was not that healthy when she was 70, and she started training. So she's catalogued her training. I think she's late 70s now. She's like amazingly fit and healthy, and having an amazing life, you know. So find some inspiration. And so they're your tasks. And if you'd like to share, please share. So we're going to do the breath exercise. We're just going to do it without any music. I'm just going to talk to you. Please be sitting or lying in a comfortable position. Don't do this if you're doing any, you need to be undistracted. So this is not to be done if you're listening to this when you're out and about. Wait until you get home. Don't do this in the bath. Don't do this if you're pregnant, and listen to your own body. And at any time it's too much, just go back to a natural breath. So I invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose, expanding your belly, and out through your mouth. A deep breath in through your nose, expand your belly, and out through your mouth, relaxing and letting go. Just be aware of your breath as you breathe in through your nose, expanding your belly, and out through your mouth. And just keep this breath going. And notice if there's any tension in your body. Just notice and breathe into that part of your body. And as you breathe out, feel the tension dissolve away. Notice any emotions that you have. Just notice, don't judge. Maybe they're in a part of your body, just notice. Breathing in, expanding, and breathing out, relaxing and letting go. And now tap into something you feel grateful for. Be something small, something big, it doesn't matter. Just really feel into the gratitude. And from this place of gratitude, connect with your intention. And I'm going to suggest that you use the intention, your vision from yesterday, I am. So maybe it's I am freedom. Maybe it's I am love. Maybe it's I am optimal health. Maybe it's I am confidence. Whatever it is, tap into that. I am. And at any time I say to you, remember your intention, in your head, say that I am, whatever it is. Perfect. Now we want to get coherence between our brain and our heart, and so we can have harmony in our body. And when we have coherence in our body, we are able to, ourselves are able to work more optimally. So I want you to breathe in for a count of 4 and out for a count of 4. I'll count it. So breathing in through your nose, 2, 3, 4, and out through your mouth, 2, 3, 4. In through your nose, 2, 3, 4, and out through your mouth, 2, 3, 4. And just keep doing that breath a few more times. Maybe you want to count with your intention. So I am freedom, or whatever it is as you breathe in. And I am freedom, or whatever it is as you breathe out. There's a couple more breaths, creating perfect harmony in your body. Perfect. Perfect. And now we're going to go a little bit deeper. So on the next breath out, allow a sound to come. So it might be a loud sigh. So it might be, ah, ah. So just allow a sound. The sound is important. We're breaking down any barriers to us getting intention. Sometimes we have subconscious blocks and we're breaking those down. And the sound is important for that. And as we're breathing out with that sound, also pull your belly button in towards your spine. So you're breathing out with a sound and pulling your belly button in. Ah, ah, ah. Keep going. Keep going. It's okay if it feels a little uncomfortable. You shouldn't feel numbness or tingling, but a little bit uncomfortable is fine. We're breaking down things. We're creating a new, and things are created outside the comfort zone. So it's okay. Keep going. Keep going. Maybe go a little bit faster. Ha, ha, ha. Okay, I'm going to give a countdown of 7 seconds. 7, 6, 5. Slow down. 4, 3, slow down. 2, 1. Breathe in through your nose. And then gently let the air release. Just gently exhale, very gently let the air out. And at the end of this exhale, you're going to hold without breathing in. Remember your intention. I am. Hold as long as you can. When you're ready, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose, hold it, relax your neck, relax your jaw, hold it, hold it, hold it. Remember your intention, really expand into your intention, feel the gratitude for that intention. And when you're ready, breathe out. Breathe in one more time through your nose, hold it, expand, sip it in through your mouth, hold, 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 remember your intention. And when you're ready, breathe out. And then just come back to a natural breath. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Notice what's different. Remember your intention. I am. Feel the gratitude for that. It is done. It is done. And just finally, to really integrate your intention into every cell of your body, we're going to breathe in through the nose and then breathe out through the nose with a humming sound. So it's going to be And as you're humming, feel the vibration in every cell of your body. Perfect. Perfect. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So thank you for joining me today. You have your tasks, just to remind you, to create some beliefs, some affirmations that you can program your mind with, and find some inspiration. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 3.